And we're back. We're back here at the forecast with yours truly, JG Lockhart, with another episode of Just Politics with our in-house Black voter campaign strategist, Markeya Thompson, in the house. What's up, hot girl? And as always, sitting in the studio, we have NikishaGlover.com in the house. What's happening, Nikisha?
Not much. What it do?
It does. So, welcome to the month of March, officially known as Women's History Month. I got a question. Let me go ahead and pull this out because we're not here to listen to music.
Oh Lord.
That's right. Who decides what is official? Like, who decides it's official Women's Month? Who decides it's the official Pancake Week? Who decides if it's Fried Chicken Sunday? Who decides if
Not
it's
you comparing women to food.
well, you see, those are two things that I love: women and food.
We go from Black History Month to how women compared to food.
So, okay, so give me the history on Women's History Month. When did this come about? Can anybody tell me that? If we're gonna celebrate it, we might as well tell the people what's it about. I mean, because I know a lot of great women of history, but when did it become the fact? Now, March is also my month, the month I was born in, so I'm gonna
Oh,
definitely.
so you feeling some type of
That's
way,
right. If
JG?
y'all gonna take.
There's not a focus on men, even though we get men, for 250 years of leadership.
Actually, longer than that.
Men.
Longer than that.
And we get 1 month to acknowledge women and their contributions.
Okay.
But you want to put the attention on men. Okay.
Well, shout out to Jimmy Carter because he's the one that actually created or acknowledged Women's History Week, which then turned into Women's History Month 1 year later. That was passed by Congress.
Okay.
So shout out to Jimmy.
And shout out to Markeya on this Women's History Month. Ready with the data.
All right, there you go. Hot girl coming through. Well, definitely, like I
Well,
said.
Google is free. Well, not really, but I mean, it's possible because our environment, but in theory, we can,
Well, shouts out
type a
to
little
you with your
thing.
Google degree. You have a high level Google degree. How about that?
I
Nobody,
gotta train
nobody
the
would have
internets
known.
to do what I need them to do.
Nobody would have known, Markeya. We just all thought you had that information ready in the clip.
Yeah, those little known facts. Y'all remember the little known Black history facts that what's his name? The guy on the radio used to do. Uh, I don't know what is his name. He's not. He doesn't do
I'm
it.
glad you don't know the guy's name the way you didn't know these women's names either.
Whatever. You know what? Anyway, we're gonna move right on. Welcome to the month of March. Here, y'all know we got High Girl, our Black voter campaign strategist, and of course my kid, of course Nikisa Glover. Oh, you got me all tongue twisted. Okay, I'm
Who
gonna need you to
is
let
the
me.
you talking about?
I'm talking about. You know what? See, this is the problem when you've had a stroke and people start coming for you, y'all. This is what happens when you have a brain flip and people
You
take
compared
it.
us to fried chicken, so you deserve everything that's coming to you, all the smoke.
And I'm just saying, now we gotta have a serious moment.
No, yeah,
We gotta have a serious moment and acknowledge.
I'm gonna call one of the greatest women I know in history, my mama, and tell her on y'all if y'all don't back off.
Now, how do we know this wasn't your behavior before the stroke? That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, you should call your mama. I know she should be my best friend before the end of the call.
Oh no, we're not gonna do
I get along with mamas very well.
that. No, we're not gonna do that. No, we're not gonna
Okay.
do that.
Well, go ahead and be
You
afraid.
know what?
Don't
My
be
mother,
afraid.
my mother is
Don't
so
be
vain.
afraid.
I'm gonna tell you this. My mother is so vain. She would never come on the show. She would. She would not. Oh, she was
She
just.
don't have to. Just put her on the phone, me and her, and watch us be friends.
That could be a whole segment.
What?
That could be a whole segment with
Get
your
him.
mom.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
The forecast talks with mom.
she is the first woman that I knew and loved in my life. So she is my feet, my
Of
woman
course, she's the
sister.
first woman that you knew.
Well, I
You
got
grew
it.
in her belly. You you were connected to her uterus
You know how sometimes you have to
and
state
her
the
placenta.
obvious. You have to. I know who the second woman I loved was though.
What's her name?
Miss Alexander, the secretary at Our Lady Consolation, Doris Alexander. Ooh, Lord. I
I
think
wasn't even gonna ask.
I
because
think
don't
I was
nobody
in.
get mad
I
under
was
that.
5 years old, and I was stone cold in love.
What was her name again?
Doris Alexander. I think
Shout
that.
out to Doris Alexander on this Women's History Month. You have made an
Uh-huh.
impact. You have made an impact.
Uh-huh.
All right. All right. So, coming up today on today's show, we're going to talk, of course, this is just politics, format, forecast, but we're going to talk about how people prey on your vote. And I'm talking PREY and
And not your
PRAY
mama. This
and
ain't
not
got nothing to do with Women's History Month.
and
We
not your mama.
we not making that connection.
Yeah. And we have during this time we've got so many people that had your votes. I saw a voter campaign, an election commercial the other day with the flashing lights and the pounding music, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, not again. So our goal is to really kind of get you guys educated and informed with what to look out for, what to be aware of when you start going out here to vote. The most important thing is to get registered to vote in time before these midterms come up, because this is the election that will select the people that will select the president. Okay, remember that. We just
One
talked.
question for you.
Yeah.
Can you please define the difference between the midterms and the presidential election for the people that don't know
All
at
right.
the start of the show?
So absolutely. So every 4 years we have a presidential election. Every 4 years. Okay. In year two of every presidential election is what we have is called the midterms. Now, what normally happens during midterms is the president in power, if he isn't doing a good job, usually in the midterms, he becomes what's called a lame duck president, because in the midterms, the turnover in Congress are the people who will either support him or not support him. So, and I know I'm talking a lot about it, but I know I'm talking a lot about this, but I want to be clear. So, every 2 years, there are senators, U.S. senators, United States senators, and United States House of Representatives elected to Congress every 2 years. Every 4 years, we select the president. On the year that we don't select the president, the second year of any president's term, we select more congressmen. And if more congressmen who don't like the president or don't agree with what the president's doing get elected, then they have more votes in the Congress, and the president thus cannot do a lot of the things that he does. For example, Barack Obama. People get so upset. They say, well, Barack didn't do this, Barack didn't do that, didn't do that. But people don't realize that in each of Barack's second term, in his first term, after his first 2 years, he became a lame duck president because the Tea Party started, and because we, as far as the people who supported him during the presidential election, did not get back out those next 2 years for the midterm to vote in more of the people that will support his legislations and things that he wanted to do, he lost that. So basically, he was working with a Congress that was working against him. I know y'all remember it when the senators would sit up there and say, "You lie." I never forget that, one of the most just dishonorable things I've ever seen in Congress. And I understand there used to be fights in Congress way back in the day, actual physical violence. But so anyway, we want to make sure that we get out during these midterms because we need to elect people that are going to go against this president. We need to elect people that are going to have the courage and balls, if I may say that during Women's History Month. I'm sorry. But we need to select people that are going to have the courage to stand up to this president, because he is what we call a bully, and he is not anything American that I see. And I'm just going to expound on that one a little bit more. Um, I think at this point, anybody who supports him and this administration can be honestly looked at as a traitor to the Constitution of the United States, because the things that this man is doing and the laws that this man is breaking and the people that this man has selected to support him in courts, even the Supreme Court. You know, these people can be looked at as traitors to the United States Constitution because they are allowing a convicted felon and, as of recent, a pedophile to conduct the business of the United States. This man should be handcuffed and taken away, and he should have his day in court. But until we see congressmen or women who have the courage to do this, and we have to elect them. That's the big thing. We have to elect these people. They're just not going to come out of nowhere. You have to go sign your name. You have to have the guts to run for office. Okay, so if you got the guts and the money, what is it? Something like $1,200 to file for congressman or something like that. There's a filing fee. So don't get it twisted. You just can't go down there and fill in the blank. But if you got the guts, I would suggest you go and run for Congress. Okay, I'm off my thing. All right. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna take a break and then we're gonna come back, or what? Talk to
Yeah,
me.
I think you need a break after talking for 17 minutes and 33 seconds.
You know what?
On this Women's History Month.
Well, here's another lady. Here's another lady,
Just
local
like a
lady.
man to take over Women's History Month.
You know what? This is a perfect time for Shirley. I do not own the rights to Shirley Caesar, but we need God and Jesus right now in the world, right here on the forecast with Just Politics and with Hot Girl
In
in
Jesus' name.
your life. We'll be right back.
It's mine.
All right, we're back here at the forecast with another episode of Just Politics, focusing on praying on you, talking about you praying on your vote, PREY and PRAY. Also, this being the month of Women's History Month, we kind of combined the two. So, what more appropriate than Aretha and her early ages of gospel? So, again, I do not own the rights to any of this music, so we just like Aretha. Amen. So, right before we went to break, we were talking a little bit more about um, what's happening and what's happening tomorrow. If you aren't aware, it's the last day for voting. The polls will be open for this primary, for this midterm election. And if you don't understand what the primary is all about, it's the qualifier for the general election. So the people that are going to be on the ballot is not the people that are going to win. Now, in some cases, the primary will be the actual winner because the way this part of our region is set up, we have a lot of Democrats, and so Republicans don't even run because they know they're not going to win. So whichever Democrat wins the primary, if it's only two, they are going to be the next person in that official space. So, but this midterm is for qualifications for people that are going to run. Like you have the county commissioner. There are a lot of people running for these 7 seats, I believe it is. So you definitely want to make sure you get out and exercise your right to vote. Take a listen back to some of our earlier podcasts to get a little bit more information about the candidates and what's happening. But Markeya, I mean, women have played an instrumental part of history, the history of black voting. We always hear about, a lot of these men who have died, but after these men died, it is their wives and the women who were with them who basically took up that torch and kept the movement going, right?
First of all, let's backtrack. I'm going to win the primaries. Am I running? No, but I'm still gonna win because that's the type of energy I bring for the world.
Okay.
Second of all,
Tell us more.
um,
Yeah, tell us more about this primary you're going to win.
you gotta believe to achieve. Okay,
Okay.
and like you said earlier, you say if you feel like you wanna run for election, you should go ahead and do it. So I'm
Absolutely.
gonna go ahead and throw my hat in the ring. So, and I'm still gonna win because you know what? You gotta believe in yourself.
This is true. I was struggling with that myself not too long ago, but you're absolutely right. You got to believe in yourself.
And there's some races to be quite honest with you, like it's really possible. Like the difference in
Mm-hmm.
between who wins that race and who doesn't is a matter of just a few votes. So that can very much happen. Like we don't have it on our ballot this year, but like in years past, we've had the soil and water commissioner,
Right.
the elevator, the labor and
Yeah.
elevator. Yeah,
Yeah.
all those miscellaneous
That are
small ones that
decided by like 12 votes.
exactly. So you can start somewhere by running. You don't have to seek start by running for president. You can start by running for your small local municipal elections.
Yep. You absolutely
And
can.
if you don't see yourself on a ballot for that, you can also look into your boards and commissions in your community. That puts you on a pathway to being in places where the decisions are happening.
And Mecklenburg County has 9 total Board of County Commissioners. 9 total. Yeah, I wanted to make sure. There are 6 districts and 3 at-large candidates.
Mm-hmm.
So people that don't
Well, that's
understand,
dope.
huh?
So that's dope.
Yeah, sometimes people don't understand. So the county is broken up into districts where they draw lines, and in addition to each individual representing a district, they have 3 individuals that everybody in the county can vote for. Because if you live in your county, you get to vote. I mean, if you live in your district, you can vote for the person that represents your district and one at large. Now, people that live in parts that are considered unincorporated, not in a district, as we expand, they don't have cities, sewer, and service and all that. They have to vote for at large, period. They cannot vote in a district. So there are some
Mm.
rules to this stuff, this ish. Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
we're moving on. So, Markeya, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and let's talk a little bit about women and the history of voting and praying on those votes.
Well, I just want to take a step back because we are coming off the tail end of Black History Month. That is my baby in the background. Sorry, Malaya, but this is not about you in this moment. It's not your future, though. For Black Futures Month, we are focusing on you and all of the little black babies' futures, okay? All right, love you. So as we transition from Black History Month to Black Futures Month, we're going into Women's History Month. And one of the most critical things that we can talk about is the contribution that Black women have had, not just on voting, but our overall organization and liberation. And even considering how Jimmy Carter was the leader of actually declaring this month, and he had actually released a formerly, well, an incarcerated woman at the time who was wrongfully convicted, released her so she could take care of his children because he knew that she was, as a black woman and like falsely accused because of racism, knew that she was a good person and she served her life and during his term and taking care of his children. So as we think about, as we transition between our honorary months, like how do we incorporate and honor our ancestors and our elders and also honor us as we're going through the process because one day we will be elders and then also ancestors. And one thing that we cannot deny, especially in the month of March, is like Harriet Tubman was born in the month of March. We also have Aretha Franklin. We have so many great people. And my late mother, shout out to Gwendolyn Thomas, um, who was born in March. And this is such an honorary and beautiful month and an opportunity to honor our caretakers because caregiving economy is the backbone of the economy. If we don't have caregivers, we can never do what we do. And also the fact that we have bonus caregivers, usually feminine presenting people, who help us be able to take care of home so we can fight in the streets. And regardless of what gender sets out there to fight, we still have people back in our homes taking care of our communities and our families. And that's what I think of is the way that we can honor women and feminine presenting people for Women's History Month.
Well, and you talk about me in my 17 minutes, whatever. Well,
Well, actually, you took 17 minutes. I counted.
as a March baby, And as a man, I am happy to share this month with all of these wonderful women. Aretha, moms, your late mother, moms, truly. God rest her soul. But yeah, it's I was just wondering though if y'all could, if you could think about the most, I ain't gonna say important, but the woman you consider to be the top historical woman that you can think of, who would that be?
A top historical
Yeah,
woman.
who? Yeah.
I think it's unfair to limit it to one.
All right,
I'm
top
what
three. Top three.
I'm not even gonna do top three. I'm gonna
Okay.
say
Like
what it
Latifah and
shaped.
Shaka Khan. I'm just naming
I'm
things.
gonna say what shaped me into my womanhood. Um, my top will be my mom and my granny.
Okay.
And one of the things like for that I reflect on with both of them and the work that I now get the opportunity to do, they didn't quite understand it when I first started doing the work that I do. And they would talk about it from the place of, I don't know what Keisha does. And it would be like our family joke or whatnot. Until one day they started knowing what Keisha does and being able to hear them talk about the work that I do. It is a a connecting point. I'm at a loss for words what I want to say, but the point that I'm trying to make here is the work that I get to do now. The reason why they couldn't talk about it or they didn't know how to talk about it because they never seen anything like it before. They were brought up in an era where so much of the work and the labor, like Markeya said, was in caregiving. And I'm watching my mom right now be the primary caregiver for my granny. And it is a honor and a prayer to be able to pour back into the people who cared for you. If we're blessed enough, if we live long enough to see it, to be able to pour back into those who have poured back into us, it becomes a very personal, intimate relationship um, that you're witnessing, and it's also your relationship with God to be able to witness that. And I also recognize that sometimes even though we might not get to do that with the people who we're we're told we should be able to do that with, and I acknowledge those of you who have experienced loss. And we can talk about this more at a later time. But getting to a place of expanding our idea of what represents and holds that space of the loss. And I know that might sound a little woo woo, but I promise you, like I got more words. We just don't have enough time for me to give all the words that I want to say to express it. But as someone who did not have my father in my life, I can look around and see how, even though I did not have my father in my life, that void was never present because of the way so many men showed up in my life at that time. And so I say that to speak into the women of our lives, the women in our lives, that I hope you have the relationship that you desire with the women in your life that you want to have. And you can look around and begin to fill that void as you see fit. You can begin to feel you might not be able to replace it, but you can definitely fill that place with so much more, and filling it with the women that pour into your life.
That's beautiful. I wish your mother could have heard that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she would probably be crying right about now. Markeya, are you in tears? Hi, girl.
Nah, but go ahead and cut it out and send it to your mama so she can understand. Look, I had a very honest conversation with my mother before she transitioned. I asked her um, if I ever had a child because I was childless at the time. I was like, what would you want me to tell her? And she said, I want her to be as fearless as her mother is.
Mm.
And I didn't know I was going to have a daughter at the time. I actually didn't want children at the time. So I feel like you got to, I mean, your parents are here for you to be able, as uncomfortable as it can be, give it to them straight. So just give it to them straight because you will never have shared space with them forever. And so I feel very grateful, despite how difficult it was losing my mom at 27 and having difficult conversations with her. At the end of the day, my mom was my very best friend. And my siblings will tell you the same. Like, they never understood how we could just sit on the phone and not say anything. But we also, like, shared so many secrets. So when I asked her that question, she was able to be honest with me. Because I wanted to know, like, what her, if she could not speak tomorrow, what would be her last wishes? And she told me. And I'm grateful for that. So share that with your mama. Because you never know.
That's beautiful, Markeya.
Oh, now y'all done turned this into something different now. We supposed to be talking about history. Well, I guess that is y'all's history.
That is history.
That is history.
We talking about elders and ancestors. That's how I opened it up, didn't I?
Okay, all right.
I'm
Well,
sorry that you can't pay attention sometimes. I'm just kidding.
well, you know I had a stroke. Whatever. Look, we're
You
gonna
had a
take a
stroke.
quick
I
break.
almost died during childbirth. We even.
Oh wow. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. Again, this is the forecast, just politics portion of the forecast with Markeya Thompson, our resident Black voter campaign strategist, and NikishaGlover.com. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Transition. And if we love them the same way we expect them to love us, that means we have to set them up for success.
Excellent. Hey, you know what? I brought us back in because I didn't want to miss one of those great points that you were.
But I'm happy to repeat it too. Like, I
Well,
don't mind.
okay, well, we caught the tail end of it. Meanwhile, we're back here at the forecast. This is your host, JG Lockhart, with Markeya Thomas and NikishaGlover.com. We're here with our show, Just Politics. And we're still kind of, though, coming off of Black History Month into this is what is known as Women's History Month. But it's kind of turned into a sort of celebration of women with the ladies here. You know, I'm gonna have to dig up some of my old mama stories in a minute.
Absolutely. That's the
I
purpose.
call it a
That's the
celebration of life.
Celebration of life. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So
We are here. Our spirits are housed in our body. Our bodies are here to house our experience on this earth. That's it. That's all.
Mhm.
yeah, it's you have a very unique way of looking at things, Markeya, and um, even me. I know that we're from two separate generations, but I find myself going like, wow, how come I didn't think of that?
But we have our parents are the same age though. Even though
Um,
technically younger, our parents are the same age.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
mhm.
So you got the old soul. You got an older soul because I'm not about to call myself old. Yeah.
No, I do have. I didn't have. Well, okay. Let me put it this way. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that I have an older soul, but what I will say is my parents had a lot more patience for a child by the time I came around. And so they knew or understood some of the lessons of life. And so they wanted to raise me in the ways that they wanted to raise me versus in the ways that other people wanted me to be raised.
Mm. Let me ask you this, and I'm coming from a whole new different angle because we're supposed to be
Mm,
talking about politics. Would you
yeah.
say that women are one of the prime targets that people who are looking for votes tend to go after, especially when they're talking about crime and these scare tactics. Would you say that women are more affected than than males about crime? Yes, no.
No, and that's because women tend to, at least black women, um, tend to vote consistently because they are the primary caregivers of communities. And so they tend to vote for what's best for a community and not what's best for individualism. And what we are taught in schools and also implied is that if we vote for our individual interests, then everything else will fall in line. But black women have always known that if you do not take care of the collective in the community, then none of us win. So I don't believe that we are targeted. Honestly, we're an afterthought because we are the default voting group. And one thing that they're showing in polling right now is that black women are starting to step back because we feel so abused or manipulated. Because it's just like when it comes to voting, now you want to listen to us, but when it comes to what our communities and our families need, you're not listening to us. And it's literally our jobs as caregivers to take care of our communities.
I mean, with in this last presidential election, one thing that we heard so much about was women's right to, choose. I thought that that was instrumental as far as, what one side was trying to say and the other side was wanted to say, because so that's how I'm like saying, hey, they're targeting women because, pro-choice, pro-life.
So I think that gets into our topic of today, praying on your vote.
There you go.
So yeah, so we know that there are religions on Sundays that will get behind the pulpit and message to women about what they what they should and should not do with their bodies. And we'll take on the topic of abortion in particular right now. And while they're being messaged to and preyed upon to not have these abortions and don't vote for candidates that believe in abortions. Meanwhile, women are literally dying because they do not have access to the care that they need, which should be a direct conversation with the woman and her doctor. And we further know that the messaging that comes behind a woman's taking away a woman's right to choose does not come with benefits for the child that is born. We know that there's an attack on education, an attack on SNAP benefits, an attack on resources, an attack on jobs for women. And yet they're being preyed upon to vote against their own self interest.
Lyndon B. Johnson said it best. So, I mean, I think that has to be an educational aspect, because Lyndon B. Johnson said the same thing about the Southern white male, you know, would vote against his own self interest, to just keep, the black man down or whatever. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, One thing I'm now, Marquis, I'm back to you on this because you said you don't think that women are targeted. I came at you with the pro-choice and pro-life. Now, who was it that told me that Jim Jones um, was able to gain his stardom because he basically came in when the Black Panthers were removed, and he was black women's new hope? Was that you who told me that?
Absolutely, that was. But also, I think we're having a different conversation between black girls and black women. Just because you can have children does not mean that you're a woman.
Oh,
And a lot of these laws actually target children who are often having children by actual men. Majority of teenage pregnancies are conceived by men.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? Give me an example of age. What do you mean? You're saying a 15-year-old is being impregnated by an 18-year-old?
No, it's usually 20 and older.
So you're saying a lot of our pregnancies are 15-year-olds being that's statutory rape.
It is. A lot of times it really is. But there are also random laws that will say if, like some states, the legal age of consent is 14, even though you cannot work full time until you're 16. Sometimes the legal age of consent is 16 or 17. And so that's the loophole that happens.
And so,
So even though they can have children, they cannot work full time. They don't have any other rights or benefits, but they are deemed old enough for consent, but not to actually be able to care and take care of their children fully.
what's the role of religion in all of this?
And politics.
So the age of consent is 100% connected to politics because politics determines who's old enough to do any of this. Um, and a lot of this has started out in the church. Things have transitioned quite a bit, um, but it still is determined by religion and state.
But I thought
Like
I
there's
thought church and state were supposed to be separate.
well, just because it's supposed to be don't mean it is.
Amen.
Those are two different things here. Theory and practice are two different things.
So this is a way in which church and state are not separate, and how it's showing up in our everyday lived experience and what we all have to deal with.
What we have to deal with our, and like most importantly, at least to me, is like what our children have to deal with. Like a lot of people online be like, okay, well, when I was in high school, these girls were hanging out with these older guys. No one ever questioned why grown men were hanging around high schools and how they could get away with it. Why was nobody, including the police that were around campus, questioning these men?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's so normalized, and we assume that girls know what they're doing more than any other gender around their same age,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're still just children.
Okay. I'm still trying to find the connection between politics and religion with the underage women. You really threw me for a loop when you suggested that these women were being raped. I'm a father of four, so
Well, they're not women, they're girls. And then also,
yeah.
politics just sets the law for the age, and religion, at least in the past, used to be able to marry teenage girls with grown ass men.
So even though this isn't the episode that we dealt with last week, there's a myth right there, a misconception that church and state is separate. It's very much integrated in in so much of the political campaigns that we see, the platforms that some of these politicians are running on, and there becomes a fear, like they're taking advantage of people's fear of God, because that's ingrained in us, right? Being raised in the church or whatnot, you're told to fear God, and you go into the voting booth, and now what's on the ballot is your relationship with God versus your own personal care, safety, and concern.
All right.
And legal marriage.
And what?
Legal marriage.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. You listen to the forecast with JG Lockhart, Markeya Thomas, and Nakisha Glover.
NakishaGlover.com.
There you go. We'll be right back.
Shout out to Roberta Flack, who did it first. Shout out to Lauren Hill and the Fugees. And we're back with the forecast. And like JG would like to say, we do not own the rights to this music. We're just connoisseurs and appreciation and appreciative of the music that these folks have brought to the soundtrack of our lives. So we left off and we were talking about praying on your vote. This is one of those segments in a part of our Just Politics series. And we want to dive a little bit deeper into what this actually looks like when your vote is being preyed upon. And we're talking about pray, Prey, when it's being preyed upon, when you're being taken advantage, when you're being led astray. Where does this show up and how have you seen it, JG?
Oh, I mean, look no further than the highest office in the land. I mean, you had this president promising Latinos. I mean, he promised the world. He promised everything to everybody, and that is why I look at this country and you look at our education system, and if you hear that somebody is promising everything to everybody, then you got to know you're dealing with a snake charmer because you can't do that.
And you talking about him reminds me of his use of the Bible. Y'all remember that? Like he was selling the Bible. Am I the only one that remembers that in the room?
Oh, I remember.
Oh,
He
okay.
still is
I
selling the Bible.
remember it too.
He still is selling the Bible.
And so, like,
Even though he ain't never stepped a foot in the church.
Right.
and so, what role does that play that somebody is taking advantage on something that you've been told to believe in all your life, and because you're a believer, what does it mean if you no longer believe in the person that's delivering you that message?
Tell us.
I think about the movie The Book of Eli.
Okay.
Have y'all seen that movie?
Mm.
And I think about it from the perspective, I don't remember all the characters' names or whatnot, but in particular, the villain, how the villain was able to utilize this book of Eli to lead the people astray. He had the power because he had the book, right? And so this is the same thing playing out in real life that the people with the power of religion are dictating to their following what decisions they should be making in the way in which they vote in alignment with their actual true wants, needs, and desires.
Mm.
So, and this is not a direct question, but more like a facetious question. What happened to the separation of church and state?
I remember when we used to pray in school, but yeah, I remember that. I think they're bringing it back though, right?
But yeah, they're bringing it back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when was it ever separated? Like we collective we America left Great Britain because church and state and the royal kingdom was all mixed up together. But we got here and perpetuated some of the same behaviors. Was it ever
We still
separated?
together.
We
In
still
God we trust.
in God we trust. It's down
One
to the
nation under God.
Under God.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So.
we didn't mean
For
it.
liberty and justice for all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where liberty and justice for all got left out, but apparently it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is.
So let's talk about like where this shows up and like what religions we're seeing this play out in. There's some religions that are telling their people not to vote. Like what is that and where does that come from?
Only religion I know that doesn't vote is because I have a relative. She's a Jehovah Witness,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. She married into um, that religion, and when I ran, I just sent her out. Hey, I'm running for office. Support me wherever you can. She let me know that she couldn't because it was against her. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that, so I was totally ignorant until that moment. But I don't know. Are there other religions that frown upon voting? I mean, when you say that, who are you talking about in particular?
Well, similar to you, I didn't know it until I came across somebody who told me that they can't vote. And so it's always been puzzling to me that there is a faith that is million strong. Like like this faith has a lot of people behind them. And I wonder if it's at all levels. I have more questions than I have answers in regards to that. I did some light research, and there are some others. I don't want to say smaller faiths, but smaller in the context of American culture. There are some other smaller faith and pockets that do that as well, but none as large as the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so, what does it mean that people, whatever your religion may be, you could be a Christian and showing up on Sunday. I think about how the folks in Minnesota were sitting on the church pews of a officer in ICE, and so his ministry comes with a value of the abuse and harm of people based on the color of their skin to deport them. He's actually out here Monday through Saturday in ICE uniform and in a clergy uniform on Sunday.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of different. Yeah, I really
That's
did.
crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talk about, and getting off the subject, but false prophets. You know, you got men that are sitting in the pulpit that are dishonest. And hell, we got one in the White House that's dishonest. And I think we definitely. Well, I'm definitely about to get off of it now, but we were raised with this certain Americana that there's this integrity and honesty about us that is unmatched in the world. And there's a whole bunch of bullshit going on. There's a whole bunch of lying, a whole bunch of cheating, there's a whole bunch of just nonsense going on in this country, just as is other countries. And we have been able to fool ourselves and deceiving ourselves into believing that we're better than everybody else because we do it different. No, we do some of the same stuff. And if
Do you
we
think
don't
we were sold a dream?
do it, say it again.
Do you think we were sold a dream?
This is how I feel. I feel that the American dream is a good dream, but the people have to be about it. Because if you're going to let people get into this, like this president, if you're going to let people get into the highest office of the land, either by not voting or being too ignorant to vote for the right person, then you're going to have these problems. But if you're going to be a good citizen and vote intelligently as often as you can every year, then eventually you're going to put people in office that can do good things. Look at this world. This world is not that big. We have so many people that can contribute to this world. I mean, we should be able to live underneath the ocean on top of it. We should be able to make take water and make itself in on Mars and planet. But we have one group of people that is educated by these private schools that we say, okay, these are our leaders. Meanwhile, we're pissing on everybody else. We're not educating the general public. So everybody grows up either on drugs or have mental illness. Meanwhile, you got this select group of people that we're depending to grow up and lead us. They're all screwed up from the beginning because most of them are high and on drugs and all that because they can. This American dream is possible, but everybody has to participate. When only a few participate in it, this is what we get. The biggest thing about a democracy is being involved, and if we don't get involved, then we don't have a democracy. We have what we have now.
And when you talk about like the private school, I think you hit on something in particular because there's an indoctrination that has happened, and that indoctrination is being financed by our public dollars, and it's removing resources from our collective ability to imagine even the American dream, like you said, JG. And so, like, there's a through line. There's a through line that I want people to be able to begin to recognize and call it out and vote it out and run it out. Where there are the language I want to give folks is when we talk about religion in this way and praying on your vote, there's this idea of toxic theology. And toxic theology. I hear you in the amen corner over here, Markeya.
I am. I'm like,
There's this thing about toxic theology that is worth exploring and digging deeper into, and the things that are perpetuating harm from the pulpit. Drewski called it out. I don't even follow Drewski like
you're
that,
right.
but
You're
I
right.
saw
You're
what
right.
Drewski did. And
You're
so
right.
what he did, he put on display for us toxic theology. And what we saw on display in reality was a toxic theology of a minister that can wear an ICE uniform Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday put on a collar and a robe and call it religion. And so I sat in a space that we delved into this topic of toxic theology, and I sat in it long enough to begin to then wonder, well, what's the opposite of toxic theology? Y'all know what it is?
I don't.
I
Liberate.
think of it as, I was gonna say that.
Go
I think
ahead.
of it as
What
like
is it? What did you
how
say?
like our
I didn't hear.
liberation.
I didn't hear. What is it?
Give her a second. She get
Oh.
ready to say it. JG is on pins and needles. We
Yeah.
got
What
him
is the
amped.
opposite?
We got him amped. Go ahead, Markeya.
I'm saying liberation because like honestly, the churches were the first areas that we were able to come together to create tactics for liberation and freedom. But like we've seen the way that those spaces have changed, and I struggle to go between honoring our ancestors and the ways that they have created safe spaces for us, and then also seeing like how challenging it is to do the same work in our current spaces.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. That's right. Liberation. You're right. And there's a whole concept and work and reading on the concept of liberation theology. I didn't bring with me my notes and research around liberation theology, but if you're listening, I encourage you to explore that path. Explore that path in the face of the toxic theology, the toxic patriarchy, and things that we're being subject to today. And we'll find our way to go from being preyed on for our vote to being liberated in our vote.
Yeah.
I
Um.
agree.
Yeah. We about to run out of time. Um. So closing thoughts, Markia.
Just echoing everything Nikisha has said. We are in a moment where progress is processed, and we have to reclaim, even from the beginning, we have to reclaim where we are, who we are, and make sure that we are able to set the tone for our futures.
Amen. And with that, I'll just echo the last thing that I said. Lean in to liberation. Lean into liberation theology and call out. Don't just internalize, because that's what we've done. We've internalized, we've tolerated, we've suppressed it. We've suppressed toxic theology. But we've reached a point now where we've got language for these things. And with language, language is so important. Name the things and name it and call it out. And to JG's point about an American dream, begin to have new dreams. I dream of liberation for our community.
Amen.
Oh, I guess it's me then. All right. Well, we started talking about women's history and, talking about praying on your vote. And those are two of the things that I really love, and food. Okay, but women, okay, women. We all know I got the baby mamas to prove it. Uh, women and voting,
Amen.
women and voting, because if you don't understand that the people who you elect or don't elect are going to control how your life goes on the day-to-day basis, if you don't understand that, then that's the sad part that we all have to deal with, because we need everybody to buy into this thing in a whole different way than it's been done before. Your parents couldn't tell you how to do it because they were new to it themselves. Their parents couldn't tell you about it because they were new to it themselves. You have
Mm-hmm.
got to be about something new now in order to bring about change in everybody's life. And we can't do it alone. You can't do it by yourself. What you can do by yourself is you can go get somebody else, and together y'all can go get other people, and that's how we turn this thing around. So, um,
Amen and amen.
make sure that you get out and vote tomorrow. Tomorrow is primary day. We call it primary day. It's really election day because you are electing the people that are going to be on the general ballot. So do your homework. Make sure you vote for the candidate that is going to support you and what you want. So get out there and vote. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Forecast with this segment of Just Politics with your co host, NikishaGlover.com, and hot girl Markeya Thomas, our Black voter campaign strategist out of Chicago, Illinois. And what's baby girl's name?
Her name is Coco.
And Coco. And Coco, you go to bed too. All right.
She needs to. Absolutely.
Until next time, y'all take care. We're signing off.
Gracie is
That too.